Faith by Fire, the podcast where real stories meet unshakable faith. Here we dive into testimonies of resilience, healing, and hope, reminding you that even in the fire, God is faithful. Whether you're walking through trials or celebrating victories, this is your space to be encouraged, challenged, and inspired.
Welcome to Faith by Fire with Halie and Grace.
Last week, we took a deeper dive into scripture and focused on 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 8 and 9, and how it pulled us to speak on the different emotions we feel during our journey and how to differentiate these from fleshly, worldly emotions to what the Spirit is leading you to feel.
Today, we're going to dive back into our childhood memories and speak on the transition of our father's prison sentence and how it affected us as children and how our trauma became our identity. Many of us grow up tired before we ever had words for it. Tired from surviving, tired from chaos, addiction, rejection, and broken homes. We learn to live in our own strength because we had to.
Isaiah 40:31. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. I feel this verse speaks directly to anyone feeling weary or overwhelmed, offering reassurance that God renews strength when we lean on Him. It's a timeless reminder of resilience, hope, and God's sustaining power. We all know what it feels like to be weary. Isaiah 40:31 reminds us that waiting on the Lord isn't passive. It's active. Trust that renews us. Think about the imagery here. Soaring like eagles, running without growing weary, walking without fainting. That's not human strength. It's divine renewal. And it reminds us that resilience isn't pushing harder in our own power, but surrendering to God's timing and letting Him carry us through. So if you're listening today and you feel tired, worn down, or stretched thin, this verse is for you. God promises that when we wait on Him, He will renew our strength, not just enough to survive, but enough to soar. So, like Grace said, we're going to speak today on our Father and how Him going to prison affected us and our family. I feel when He first went away, it was a feeling of relief, it was just a flood of emotions, really, for me personally. I know you were really young, Grace, so I don't know if you can really think back and remember any, remember how you were feeling, or if you really understood, what was happening. Like,
Yeah.
do you feel like you understood what was going on at that time, or, how you were feeling,
I think
or were you
there was a
just
lot of confusion. Like you said, I was very young. So whenever he first went away, I think that there's just some bits and pieces that I remember because, again, I was so young. But I think just a lot of confusion and, obviously I was scared and
Mhm.
um,
Just like a
didn't know.
natural, oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's like a natural response, right? Like,
hmm
not knowing what was gonna happen. It wasn't your norm, so it probably frightened you. I
Yeah.
know.
Well, I don't think for me, there wasn't really a normal. There was always a lot of fear and I was always scared. And then I could just remember always wanting mom all the time and just being worried for her and about
Like,
her and if she's okay.
anxiety. Yeah, just
Anxiety.
there's,
Yeah.
a lot of anxiety. I know for me, it was
I don't
I
have
don't
any
know,
good memories with our dad, honestly. I just remember all the bad things, like him abusing mom and the drugs and the being out of it and just passed out. And so there's not really any good memories, but from being that young and when he went to prison, I could just be like remember like being confused, being like scared or just worried about mom and all of that,
Mhm.
really.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like a breath of fresh air. Like, I was relieved and happy, and I thought that, like, a lot of the I was just excited to not have, I guess you could say, that chaos that he brought. I thought things were gonna get better, and I feel like maybe they did for a little bit, but then there was, like, some things that happened that definitely shouldn't have happened, and our mother
Yeah.
shouldn't have allowed to happen. I mean, do you ever wonder what was going through her mind? Because I do. Like, there's, like, things that I really think back to, and I'm just like, "What were you thinking, or how are you feeling to, like, make some of those decisions that you made?" But I guess we'll
Right.
never know.
I mean, I feel like she had to have at least felt some relief, or she probably wasn't so scared anymore, or,
I don't
you know,
know, because I really feel like she still was, because, like, what I'm about to talk about next, like, there had to be some kind of influence on the outside for her to continue to do what she was doing. All of that happened, so dad got into the car accident, the lady ended up dying. He was convicted of vehicular manslaughter, and there was, like, an ongoing trial for a good couple years, and so when he first went in, there was, I think I'm gonna say maybe about, like, a 6-month to a year period that he was actually in jail, and then he was able to come home on a bail. He got out on bail because of our grandparents had a family friend that gave him the money to bail him out, and I think that there was maybe a year he got to be home. I don't know if it was that long. It was probably about a year that he was actually home out on bail, and he would have to go check in and with his, like, lawyer, but
yeah.
so during that first, like, 6-month period that he was in jail, even after, but this first, I being in there, now remember, he's strung out on drugs really bad. So, at this time, I'm 5th, 6th grade. Mom, I think maybe dad had ended up befriending, like, one of the guards, and mom and dad and them devised a plan to get his drugs inside. And at first, it started with mom. We would go because obviously, like, jail isn't as, like, secure, like, the security, yeah, it's, like, beefed up, but not like a prison, and she would, take we would go in, and she would take and there was a trash can by the door that we before we would go in to the room that we would set in, like, the glass windows.
Yeah, I
So
remember, yeah.
yeah. Well, there was a trash can, and there was always a guard that would stand by that door, and she would take and she would ha it would usually be in a bottle, and she would take and throw that bottle into the trash can, and then the guard would take out the trash, really, to get whatever and take it in to dad. That's how they got it in. And I think they ended up getting I don't think they knew it was for dad, but that guard ended up getting caught, but I think he that guard did it for a lot of other people that was in there too. I don't think it was just our dad. And I think he ended up getting caught. I remember him, like, there was some heat there, and they had to back off a little bit. But then dad ended up coming home for about a year. And then after he actually got his long-term conviction and went to prison, that's when things got a little bit harder, and mom started using me. to take stuff into the prison. And I just remember being so
It's terrible. You're probably really scared.
I was terrified.
Yeah,
I was terrified because, like, I knew that I shouldn't be doing this. I
right.
was, so, like, I was probably 11, 12 years old, and mom would make me because they wouldn't search us kids, and so, like, we would go in and they would have us just walk right through, like, the metal detectors. They would only search, like, the adults. So, like, if mom or mama or papa would go in with us, they would search them, but they would just have us go through and wait.
Mhm. Yeah.
So mom would make me hide hide them. So I would usually have to wear, like, a big hoodie, and I would keep them, like, underneath the hoodie, and,
Mhm.
once we got back, I would have to go into the bathroom, like, we would have to sit down at a table, and dad would usually be waiting for us, and I wasn't allowed to make it obvious, but I had to, like, get up and use the restroom, so, like, I would have to go to the bathroom, and once I got into the bathroom, I would place them in there and then let mom know where I put them, and she would go in pretty much directly after me, and then when she came out, she somehow handed them off to dad because
Yeah,
we were
it's
allowed to
terrible.
have, like, one embrace with him. So, like, you're allowed to have, like, when you first get there or leave, you're allowed to, like, hug him and stuff like that. So, that's sorta how they would transfer. Now how he got them back in, I don't know. After that, like, whatever, because they did this for quite a while. And then
Mhm.
I remember one time, I don't know what it was, but I always hated going and visiting him, and it was probably because of that, but also because, like, I couldn't stand him. But,
Right.
he I just there was one time we had went, and I refused. Like, me and mom got into a really bad argument because at this point, I'm getting older and, like, I'm
Right,
standing up for
yeah.
myself a little bit more. And, people used to, like I don't think people realize, like, what all mom actually put me through. She said very mean things. She was very narcissistic, and she would say mean things, and I got to a point to where I just started sticking up for myself. Just, like, I'm getting older, I'm sick of it, I didn't wanna do that anymore, and I remember one time we went to go down, and she was wanting me to do and I just had this, like, really bad gut feeling, and I was just like, "No, I'm not doing it." And I feel horrible because that's whenever Josh got brought into it, and she made Josh do it this time, but I'm glad that I didn't because this time they searched me, and I don't know if it was because I was getting older, I was a little bit older, or
Yeah.
maybe if they finally started to, like, suspect something, like, I'm not really quite sure, but they ended up searching me, and the only thing that I could think of, like, the whole time we were there, I was just so nervous and so scared because I'm like, "What if they did what if I did give in to mom, and I did end up taking that in there, and they did end up finding it on me because they searched me this time? Like, what would have happened to me?
Right.
Because I would have technically been an accomplice to that, right? Think back to that. My whole life could have been ruined. It could have been turned upside down, in just the
Yeah.
blink of an eye, and but I think eventually they ended up stopping using us kids. I'm not really quite sure
Like,
how
why?
they
Like, why or
well, I'm not yeah, I don't know why is probably because they started to catch on and figure something out, so I don't know how dad was getting his stuff.
you know what's funny is I always wondered because I can remember him writing letters about, like, how he found God and all of this stuff in there and
No, and if you did, that's wonderful,
went back to
but
school and did all these things, and I kinda always wondered if that was just, like, real or if that was a front.
yeah, I don't I I don't know.
Now,
I
like,
never
what do
I never
you
bothered to really find out. So I don't know.
So like what would you say like having to do all these things and going through all these things, like what would you say kind of like shaped who you were? Like your identity was in what you went through. Like that's why you
Mm,
were the way you were. Like, you know what I mean? Like you had
yeah, I
probably
didn't.
had a lot of trust issues. You probably
I still
even
do to
down
this
to
day.
because
I still.
you probably felt like a lot of rejection too because of mom. Not
Hmm.
just dad, but like mom.
Yeah, mom too. Mom. I don't know if I like said this before, but mom actually was like diagnosed like bipolar. She had some other like mental health things as well.
Hmm.
So she would have like these massive mood swings and then you'd be bad. And sometimes, like, I have really good memories with mom, but then like I have a lot of bad memories with her. And
Yeah.
she used to lash out on me a lot. And
I
so, like,
remember one
mom,
time she did something similar to me and I was so scared. I
yeah.
was in the bath and I she came in and I think she like ripped the shower curtain and the rod down and I think you had walked in and just so happened to like come in and like save me, but like she like must have like had a moment or whatever, but or just maybe even kind of like she didn't have, medicine or the drugs and so she was probably like
Mhm,
withdrawing and
mhm.
mad and took it out on me. I can remember
Yeah,
some of those times too.
she did that a lot. There's a lot of
Mhm.
mean words said too, and I didn't even know what some of that stuff meant, but she would tell me I was so pretty and she was never pretty, and I was so popular and she was never popular, and which I wasn't. I definitely was not. I had friends, and I don't think she had that many friends growing up, and
It's kind of creepy.
yeah.
To think,
And no, like, she was jealous of me for some reason, and she would she would just be so mean to me, and I was just always so confused because I'm like, I've never done anything for you to call me these names or say these things to me, and, like, why? And she would tell me how lucky I am to look the way I look, and, like, it was just so weird, some of the things that she would
right?
say to me, and it really actually ended up making me really insecure. And I know that sounds crazy, but, like, the older I got, like, anytime somebody would say something like that, I didn't like it. It made me feel weird.
Yeah.
It would just take me to, like, a not so great place, and
Hmm.
I know that may sound silly to some people, but yeah,
Yeah.
mom had her issues and her problems and strugg I can't believe I'm saying this, like, aloud, but I mean, they're all gone now, and I was so young, like, I don't think it could come back to really get me,
I
but
think I think it's good that you're saying these things because this happens out there and a lot of kids probably go through the same thing.
mhm. There's so much crap that goes on inside prison walls that people don't realize, like, it's not just on movies, like, it's legit, like, this stuff really happens.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, like, you were asking how you feel like it shaped my identity. I feel like, yeah, there was a lot of rejection and resentment from our mother. I feel like our father put us through so much. I feel like I really did build up these walls. I didn't trust anybody. I was 15 when I refused to go see him anymore. And mind you, we lived in Ohio and he was in prison in Kentucky. And so they would go probably once a month or like every other month to see him. And it got less and less as time went on, but I stopped going. I would refuse to go and I would stay home by myself.
I can remember
And
there was like a long period of time we didn't even go see him.
Yeah, and I was probably the reason for that because mom didn't wanna leave me, but, like, there was nothing good that came from that, from going down there. There was no good from it, and I refused to go down and see him, and there was a few times that she did leave me at home, but I think once I hit that point of, like, "Okay, I can start making my own terms here," I I had already lived all, like, this life of, like, all this stuff, like, it was normal to us in a way. So, like, you start to hang out with maybe not so great people or
Right.
you, like, find yourself like, I ended up becoming really good friends with some people that I'm still friends with to this day, and their families they grew up with similar instances towards us, so, like, we bonded over that, and not that
Right.
we ever did anything because, like, we always put ourselves in not good situations. We would hang out with not great people, but we weren't doing the things that they were doing. I think it's
Mhm.
just, like, we were so used to being in that environment that it was comfortable to us.
It was normal for us,
It
yeah.
was
I think
normal.
I can relate on that.
Yeah.
I
And
I because I didn't I felt like you said, it was normal, but I also, knew better than to do
Mhm.
some things. It's almost like I feel like God had his hand on me and he gave me discernment
Yeah.
and wisdom
Because
in a way.
right, exactly, because, yeah, I was 15 hanging out with 20-year-olds. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
put that out there. Like, I was going to these parties and hanging out with people and around all these, like, drugs and these things, and but I never did them myself. Like, yeah, was there a few
Right.
times that I probably drank or yeah,
I think
like
that to us wasn't a big deal. Like, the drinking and stuff, that was nothing compared to what we've seen and went through.
right. But, yeah, I never did any of the hard stuff, but I around it? Absolutely.
Yeah, that was the same with me.
And, like, looking a lot of those people were only my friends because they knew that I could get them things, and that's really sad too. They were just friends with me because of our mom, because
Yeah.
she ended up dealing herself because once dad went away, that's how she made her money.
You know what? I can remember I was around 14, 15, and I hung out with older people too, and some of the friends that I had were only hanging out with me because they would come and do drugs with mom,
Yeah,
and I look back now and it sucks, it's sad, and a lot of those people aren't here today. You know,
yeah.
they've passed away, and
Mhm,
it's so sad because it's like I remember them before they got on hard drugs, and it's
mhm.
almost like, what if they would have never hung around me or, you know, met,
You can't put yourself in
mom.
like, think
Yeah,
that because the thing is, like, we were really young and naive, and we thought we were cool because we got to hang out with these older people and be invited to these parties and do these but really they were preying on us so they could get to our mother. So, you can't have that outlook and aspect of it. But that was our identity, like, people I put on this, you know, persona of, like, tough guy, "Look at me, look at my family, you can't mess with me. I know my
yeah, like
stuff."
you're
Like
in survival mode.
yeah, and it's just such a like, looking back, it's just, like, so sad that
It's
we
sad.
had to be like that. Honestly, meeting my husband now, because he came from not a very good background too, but he really pulled me away from a lot of the people that I was hanging around and the things that I was doing. And at the
Mhm.
time, like, when we first started dating, I really fought him a lot because I just thought he was, like, overprotective or jealous or this or
Being
that, and
controlling and all of this.
controlling, and,
Yeah.
like, my friends at the time well, they weren't my friends, but people at the time that I would hang out with would say that, like, "He's controlling, why are you around him?" Really? No, he was pulling me away from, like, a bad environment, bad situation.
Yeah.
He actually cared about me, and then we ended up getting pregnant, with
Mhm.
her. oldest son, and I think that was my wake-up call, my reality check.
Yeah. God gave you Billy because he knew you would have to grow up and
Mhm.
be responsible and it really pulled you away from some of those things. But
But I did. I
well,
went a little crazy there, after dad went away. I did, and I did put mom through some stuff, and I regret it. I did give her a hard time, but I think it was just my way of trying to get her to notice me or try to get her to act like she cared about me, and I
well,
don't
I
think I
think
ever.
that's what kids do when they have rejection on them.
Yeah,
That's their way of trying to get attention.
yeah. But and I don't and it's but I never truly got that from her, and it's not that I don't think that she did it. I know she loved us, but I don't think she knew how to love us.
She didn't know how to love. I
She
think I
didn't really
struggle
be a
with that
mom.
a
Mhm,
lot. I think maybe I'm getting better, but I do. I think sometimes I have a hard time allowing somebody to love me or care about me. And then I have a hard time expressing how I feel, expressing my emotions, expressing love for somebody else.
mhm,
But I mean, I know I've came a long way. I think that before, Christ, like that's your identity comes from like the control or the numbing of the pain or how somebody else sees me. I want to make sure somebody else knows like you said, don't mess with me. Like,
mhm,
that kind of like, image. But
right,
it's like your identity was shaped by exhaustion and survival.
yeah,
You're just constantly in survival mode. But that's all
100%.
we ever known. We just had to be in survival mode. Tying, the verse into what we're saying, what we're talking about, like our identity in Christ.
Mhm.
Um, then versus now, what does that mean? Like, what does that look like for you?
I think that I had to walk a lot of what I did to become the mother that I am, to shape me into the person that I am.
Right?
I think that it taught me discernment because now I can read a room very well. I may not act like it all the time, but even when you think I'm not paying attention, I'm paying attention. And I think
Yeah,
it's
that's me
just,
too.
yeah, it's just out of, like you said, survival mode, right? You're on alert all the time. And maybe I'm still learning what it did for me.
Mhm.
But those are some takeaways for me. What about for you?
I think for me, I think that I struggle a lot in like identity and who I am. Like, I guess I can say like I'm always like, well, not so much now, but I do recognize now, like right now, like as like we've been walking in ministry and all of this stuff, like God's pulling a lot of things to surface and showing me some of the strongholds that were inside of me and he's, delivering me from a lot of things. Like, for example, like I'm always worried about what other people are thinking. Am I doing
Mhm,
something right? Or what am I not doing right? Or
mhm.
I'm just constantly trying to meet the mark so that way I can feel like
Accomplished. I have those things
accomplished.
too. Those are things that yes, I struggled with those and still struggling with some of them now, but with some positives though. Like, even though we went through, like, difficult times, like, I know there's some positive takeaways, something that shaped you and made you.
Honestly, I don't feel like I have any positives. And I think I struggle a lot lately. I feel like I see a lot of mom in me and I hate that. And I don't know what that is, but some of sometimes the way you know, my my actions. And I hate that because I'm like, I don't want to ruin my kids
Mhm. You're
like
nothing you're
they
nothing like
ruined
me. Yeah.
us.
I I have that
And not
sometimes
so
too.
much I guess I'm not like
It's the
ruined
patience.
because
It's the
God's
patience.
turn it around.
Yeah, I remember mom not having patience with us, so she would snap really easy, and
And
I
I
do
feel like
find
I
my
do that a lot, and
yeah,
I
and
hate that.
I do find myself doing that too sometimes, but here's the difference between you and I and our our mother, is that we realize what we're doing, and we apologize to our kids, and we say, "Sorry." We explain to them that we're feeling overwhelmed, and to give us a minute, we gather ourselves, and then we move on. Our mom did not do that. Our mom just went AWOL, so we are nothing like her.
Yeah, but I guess I don't know. I guess finding Christ, you know, having God and having a relationship with God, I can look at it differently. I can see it from a mile away. I know when I'm not right, like you said, and then I will, apologize, and then I'll try to wake up in the morning and do it all over again, but do it with a better
Mhm.
heart and try to change and fix, the things that I, you know, struggled with the day before.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think you're doing a good job. It's not easy being a parent in general, and I know we're not the only one that struggle with, being impatient and
Right.
irritated with your kids. I think it's just how you
For me, though, it's a trauma
Oh,
thing. Like, there
it
was
is,
just
it
so
is.
much trauma,
It really is,
and
but it
sometimes
takes
it's like, I don't
self-discipline to
know.
pull you out. It takes some self-discipline to pull you out of that, and it's like
Sometimes
my
it's hard for me because I had never had, I had you, but I never had a parent to teach me things. I've never had a parent to walk me through things. I've never had a parent that showed love. I've never and so, like, for me, a lot of, my parenting is tough love, and it's like people
Mhm.
can mistake that for me, like, just not caring or, like, I don't know, but I guess, like, some things I'm just numb to, like,
So you have a closing verse, and I think we're gonna wrap it up, and I think you have a really powerful piece to conclude with today. So I'll let you start with that.
Isaiah reminds us of a holy exchange. Those who hope in the Lord do not just rest, they are renewed. The word renewed means to exchange. God takes the strength we've been using to survive, replaces it with his strength to live. Soaring, running, and walking. This verse speaks to every season of healing. Soaring, moments of breakthrough and freedom. Running, seasons of growth and momentum. Walking, daily faithfulness when life still feels hard. God doesn't just meet us in the mountaintop moments, he sustains us in the everyday steps of healing. Your trauma may not Your trauma may have taught you how to survive, but Jesus teaches you how to live renewed. Before Christ, we find strength from control, from performance, or numbing. Identity was shaped by exhaustion and survival. But in Christ, strength comes from dependence. Identity is rooted in hope in the Lord. You are no longer the weary child, you are a renewed son and daughter. We are no longer defined by what we went through, we are defined by who lives in us.
And that concludes today. Thank you for that, Grace. I hope my hope is that today people can take something away from this, give some encouragement. I think I really want people, if you're listening today, if you're feeling tired, worn down, if you're feeling stretched thin, I just want you to know that it's not just enough to survive, but lean on God and his promises, and it'll become enough for you to soar. And just take a moment and reflect on a time maybe when God gave you strength beyond your own captivity. And we would love to hear some of those testimonies. We would love for you guys to send these to us. We would love you to share your stories with us. We would love to have you on to share those stories. Or if you're just in need of some prayer, we'd love for you to send a prayer request in as well. And you can do this by reaching out to us through our email. It's ignitefaithbyfire@gmail.com. Or you can reach out through our Facebook or Instagram. You guys can DM us and we will gladly get back to you. And I think that concludes today's episode of Faith by Fire. Thank you so much for listening.